following program has been approved for immature audiences only. Mmm, delicious.
Hello, hello.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I'm Nancy Guppy here at beautiful Georgetown Stables, and we have got a great show for you this week. Take a look.
I realized as a 10-year-old that this was exactly what I wanted to dedicate my life to.
The graceful flow of David Harvey.
Here's the funny thing about not paying Revolutionary War veterans is that it is a bad idea.
Story time with Mike Daisey.
Because as you remember me saying, they have their own guns.
The vibrant vision of John Grady. And fresh sounds from Parisalexa. We'll begin with David Harvey, a dancer and choreographer with a stage presence that is quiet, intense, and riveting.
I consider it a huge gift to be able to have an intimate relationship with my own body and what it can do. That I can connect physical sensation with emotional sensation, that's just how I get to live. I feel so grateful for that. My name is David Harvey and I'm a dancer. I started taking ballet classes when I was 10 years old, and it took me about, 3 or 4 weeks before I realized as a 10-year-old that this was exactly what I wanted to dedicate my life to. When I was 14, I moved to Michigan to study at Interlochen Arts Academy at their dance program. From there, I spent 3 years studying at the Kirov Academy of Ballet in Washington, D.C. And then I finished up my training in San Francisco at the Alonzo King Lines Ballet School. I was the first student to be offered a contract in the company. I spent 7 years with Lines. I performed, I think, over 20 of his ballets, definitely over 400 performances worldwide. It was a tremendous experience. So I left Lines in 2014. I wanted to have more time to teach and to make my own work. And the very first class that I took in Seattle was Kate Wallach's Thursday morning advanced contemporary class.
And I remember calling Lavi and saying, Lavi, this really amazingly beautiful man just started to take class and he just keeps coming on Thursdays. And so that's how we started our relationship.
Right now, Kate's company called the YC, we are kind of remounting this piece that we premiered at the Moore in 2016.
So now we progress forward, heading your way.
There are 7 dancers, including Kate, and there's live industrial rock music on stage.
And then we make the transition into heads. One. Oops, sorry, Dee.
David is subtle and precise and
quiet, smart. Intelligent, humble.
Yes,
Very humble.
very humble. He really practices simplicity, and I feel like he just does what's necessary, and that is something that we really value.
One thing that I've had to practice is letting go of what my body could do when it was 18. Even though I might not be jumping as much as I used to, I'm still discovering, nuance and finesse and control and communication in a way that I couldn't possibly fathom when I had a much more forgiving body. My dream would be to continue performing into my 50s, 60s, even beyond. The performers that really stick it out for a long time have a mastery and a command that I look forward to.
David performs in the remount of Industrial Ballet, the critically acclaimed evening-length dance from choreographer Kate Wallach, on Tuesday, November 13th at the Moore Theater.
If instead Mr. Harville had turned the lights off in the room on the first day and then put a flashlight in his face and he was like, "Murder created the world you're in," I would have been like, "What?" And I would have really been engaged with American history, because the actual history of America is bonkers.
There's a theatrical buzz going on around town. Why? Master storyteller Mike Daisey has returned to Seattle with his new show, A People's History. And joining me is the master himself, Mr. Daisey. So nice to see you.
It's nice to be seen.
Well, welcome back to Seattle. Now, before we launch into the new show, I wanted to give our viewers just a little context of kind of who you are, because you've got a big reputation. And your career kind of began in Seattle. 2001 was 21 dog years, right?
Yes.
And that was about your time at Amazon?
Yes.
Okay. And was that kind of the leaping off point for you, where you realized this is what I want to do?
Yes, it really was.
Yeah.
I'd always wanted to work in the theater, and I'd always been very interested in writing, and I wanted to find a way to create a form where those things could live together on stage, and that's where it really started, was with that show.
And so since that point, you've written, I think it's close to 30 monologues and plays. You've performed around the globe, which brings us to this table and the new show, A People's History. So what is this new show about?
Well,
big question.
It is a big question. But, fundamentally, this show is about American history, and it's about all of American history, which is a large topic. And you kind of have to pick where to begin and end. So this is a show where I start in October on a crisp day in 1492, and I go all the way to 2018, the present moment. So because of that, instead of trying to do all of that in 90 minutes and then we get a coffee, which if I could pull that off, I totally would. Yeah. There's so much story to tell that it's in 18 parts. There are 18 chapters. Right. And so the whole show is actually about 30 hours long. But if you come to see it, it's about 90 minutes long, because you'll see one part of our entire American history.
And how did you, well, I want to talk about the monologues, but how did you start this? What was you put a couple things together to even start writing this piece, which was, I believe, your high school or history book?
Yeah, I read a bunch of things, but the show is made out of 2 books. And one book is Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States, which is a history book that's kind of like the inverse negative of a normal history book, in that it focuses on all the people in history that we don't talk about. So it focuses on the poor, women, people of color, LGBTQ people, all these groups that traditionally, when we tell American history, we focus very specifically on people who look pretty much like me, straight white men. Right. And so what I was really interested in is how Zinn shows the same history, but how many things we've left out and not illuminated. And then the book I put next to it, which made a lot of sense, is I went on eBay and I found my actual U.S. history book that I was taught U.S. history from when I was in high school in rural Maine a long time ago. And so that becomes the other book that I'm comparing what they both say about what history is.
These two continents were incredibly full of people. They were not vast, open, unexplored spaces that, had nothing in them. The only way you could imagine that is if you were like, I want to take these spaces, and it's awkward if there are people here. So if I'm going to write about it so other people read it, maybe I could write about it where I just kind of erase them, so they're not there. So you get like a great mythology of like the boundless, endless vistas of the West. Oh, there's something, erase those, get those people out of there. And then it's nice and empty. So then, white people can just like go there.
When you were going through all this material, what did you learn about U.S. history that you had no idea? Is there anything that really, like, wow, that's something I didn't know?
Oh, so many things. Some of them because they're so small and clear and chilling, and some of them because the mythology of them has been changed to the opposite direction. Like the best short example would be that we talk about George Washington as the father of our country, which is true. He was the first president. And then we talk about him as being always never telling a lie, which is actually kind of true in that he was not a very clever, he was not known for his like verbal acuity. So he may have never told a lie because he's kind of always very straightforward. And he also had wooden teeth, is what we're taught.
I know all those things.
Right, except that they weren't wooden teeth. And that's not a secret history. We knew the whole time because we had letters from him to his dentists, and we actually have his dentures, that what he actually wore were dentures made out of his slaves' teeth, which he had extracted from his slaves' mouths while they were alive, made into dentures, and wore them in his mouth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's stunning. So there's more of that.
Yes.
Eventually, through incredible, hard, difficult, vicious effort, Black Americans finally made their way into upper education. And some of them actually chose, for reasons that can't even, why would they do this? Some of them finally were driven and compelled to become historians, and then they went into the same rooms that their white brethren had been going into for centuries, and they looked at the books and they said, wait a minute, we should tell this story. And you can imagine how much pushback there was. There was a lot.
So I just want to mention, because I'm curious on how this has gone for you since that controversy in 2010 with the Steve Jobs Apple thing. That was about artistic license as a storyteller, right? And being a journalist, factual. Right? So how did you weather that controversy? Because I think you handled it well. And how did it affect how you've gone forward and how you have written your work?
Well, it affects everything in the sense that it becomes part of the matrix of things that everybody talks about.
Right.
Like it affects your life because it becomes part of the story of who you are and what you're doing. It's funny, it's been so many years now, but now as we sit in 2018, we fight about what the nature of truth is constantly. And so it's actually a very important role to be a monologuist who's been through the fire of those kind of controversies to say that, no, there is something called the facts, and those are vitally, utterly important. There's also the truth, and the truth is built out of which facts you accept and like what story you're choosing to tell. In a lot of ways, this narrative of this whole history is a way of showing that we are all taught all these facts. And many of the facts we're taught in school are completely true. They're just not every fact, and all the facts about women, George Washington's teeth, all these resonant details are left out. So then we paint a certain picture. And you need to like look for those complexities, or you're never actually going to be able to create a society where we can actually have a real dialogue.
What would you hope the audience takes away from your people's history?
I would hope that it engenders conversations where it sort of wakes them up and it makes them consider. We've had a couple of people. There was two people, I met them in the lobby, the older white lady and a slightly younger black woman who have met at the shows, and they started coming, and because the show is in these many parts, they come repeatedly. And so they were like, we're friends now, they told me. We've come like 4 or 5 of them, and I took a picture of them in the lobby. They're very happy, and I was outside, I was waiting for a car to come, and they were next to me, and I've just done all these shows, and they've watched me for all these hours.
Yes.
They had nothing to say to me, because they were busy talking to each other about the nature of gentrification in Seattle, which I hadn't been talking about, but connects into all these labor things I've been discussing. And they got so excited, and the car pulled up, and I'm getting in, and one of them said, we just ignored you. We were so busy talking about, like, what does it mean to be in Seattle and the things that are changing? And I was like, that's perfect.
Perfect.
That's exactly right. You made my night. Take care. Good night. And so, yeah, it's nice. Like, that's the kind of thing you're hoping for.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm so happy that you're back in Seattle, and you are truly a masterful storyteller. A People's History, written and performed by Mike Daisey, runs now through November 25th in the Leo K Theater at Seattle Rep. And like we've been saying, 18 monologues. You come a lot of different nights. You're going to see different things, so get your tickets. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely delightful. Cheers. To
Cheers.
the brain.
Oh,
To the brain.
to the brain.
To the
And
brain.
the heart.
And the heart. Mm-hmm. Well, we are very excited about our musical guest this week, singer, songwriter, producer, Parisalexa. Hello.
Hello.
So happy to have you here. Now, I know you've been singing most of your life.
Yeah.
Right? And is it true that you hummed as an infant, like,
Yeah, there's video.
There's video. Were you humming to a song or in general?
I think it was just little melodies that were in my head.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I wrote songs that didn't have any lyrics because I couldn't talk. So they were just little melodies, and my mom was amazed, and she was like, you should do this for your life.
How young were you when that started happening, the writing part?
I think 3. My parents bought me a little electronic keyboard, and so I was like plinking out melodies. You know, kids normally just bang on it.
Yeah,
but
not
I was
you.
like playing little melodies, and my mom was amazed. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yes. No.
So yeah, I know that last year, or this year anyway, earlier this year, you've had a big year. Your debut EP came out, Bloom.
Yep.
Right, and then a 4-track mixtape, Flexa, in June.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of material in 6 months. So you had a lot to say.
I did have a lot happened. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the difference, would you say, between those two records?
Bloom was kind of about me, you know, I fell in love with my friend, and so it was kind of like this saga that kind of just told the story of how I kind of was figuring out how to love myself, and then finding out this beautiful thing that kind of emerged out of a friendship, and writing about that and all the feelings that I felt about it. I was young. I'm still kind of young.
You
but
are young. She's 20.
I'm a little young, but I was younger, and some of the things I wrote about were bold, and like cross-pollinates one of the songs, which is about how I was just so in love that I was, you know, thinking about the future and children and stuff like that. And so it was really kind of an innocent, but just like a lost in love type of record. And then Flexo was kind of about how after that relationship, I was more focused on myself, and how I had to like regain my power and just believe in myself again, and find out how to love myself again, and not to rely on somebody else. And so I love them both differently.
Yeah,
but
sure. Yeah, they express different things,
Right,
and
totally.
and both very interesting musically as well. So I know you're gonna do 2 songs for us.
Yes.
And one of them I know is brand new, just
Yes.
dropped, and I believe that might be the second one,
Yes,
Hothead.
Hothead.
So the first song is off Flexa, and what's it called?
Ballin.
Ballin.
Ballin, yes.
Okay.
I love that song.
Oh yeah. Well, it's what do you love about it?
Oh, well, I mean, I can't play basketball at all, so it's kind of ironic.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the reference?
It's not. It's just about how...
There's maybe a lot of things.
I put, in the actual music video, one of my friends is playing basketball, and I made sure to include only clips of us missing the hoop, just so people get the message that I really can't play.
You really cannot play.
Cannot.
You cannot play.
No.
All right. Well, are you ready to do this thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Parisalexa.
Go.
For my mama, when I finally make it, take on my vacations to Bahamas. I was celebrating ever since my birthday was the bomb, and now I'm detonating. No, you can't relate, you just can't relate. Every day I wake up like a boss, and I be thanking Jesus. Fakers try to get up in my circle, I don't really need them. We been saying we up next forever, now we really mean it. We bout that action, acting back when you see us, yeah. I'm passionate, and I work hard, so when it pop it in on accident, yeah, I'm always on go. Better watch how I go. Don't forget to let you know I be ballin'. I would chop it up by house in New Orleans. Up the ante and I'm showing I'm important. Win a Grammy, I be ballin' like I'm Jordan. While you wait to snoring, I be busy scoring. I would chop it up by house in New Orleans. Up the ante and I'm showing I'm important. When a Grammy, I be ballin' like I'm Jordan. Are you with a snoring? I be busy ballin', 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 ballin'. Yeah, I be busy ballin', ballin', ballin'. Ooh, yeah. I be catching tricks like it ain't loose, leaf in it. When we go out, always in a hoe, we'll be lit. Run my money up, watch it up off in the sky. I ain't picking up. Unless it's dollars on the line, you know I ain't got the time. I be busy on the move. People wanna admit it, they ain't see me paying dues. I was living to the tape, now I'm with something new. Better pay my respect, I ain't never gonna lose. I be ballin', I would chop it up by house in New Orleans. Up the ante and I'll show 'em I'm important. Win a Grammy, I be ballin' like I'm Jordan. While you with a snoring, I be busy scoring. I would chop it up by house in New Orleans. Up the ante on the show, I'm important. Win a Grammy, I be ballin' like I'm na-na-na, na-na-na, yeah. I be busy ballin', ballin', yeah, I be busy ballin', ballin'. I be busy ballin', 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 ballin'. Yeah, I be busy ballin',
Parisalexa plays an in-store DJ set at Lil Woody's Burger Joint on Monday, November 12th, and will headline Chop Suey on Wednesday, November 14th. Also, her brand new track, Hothead, streams on Spotify and is available for download on Amazon.
Hi, I'm Ellen Abram, and I'm curating this calendar of events. Let's start with Henry Art Gallery's show, Between Bodies. This group exhibition features sculpture, video, and sound-based works by a variety of artists. Thematically, these artworks blur the false divide between nature and culture and question what it means to be human in a time of global climate change and environmental transformation. Showing now through April 28, 2019. Moving over to Velocity Dance Center's Bittersweets by Hypernova Contemporary Dance Company. Through imaginative movement, this pastel landscape is steeped in iconic references to the 1980s and 90s. The story follows 10 performers through their memories of transition from childhood innocence to self-aware adulthood. Catch the show November 8th through the 11th. Next up, Ballast by Seattle-based poet and educator Quentin Baker at the Fry. His installation features layered text that amplifies the loss or unspeakability of historical narratives. This collection of poems examines the 1841 slave revolt aboard the slave ship Creole to highlight the position of blackness and the ongoing afterlife of slavery, now through February 3rd, 2019. And I'd love to tell you about my show, The Williams Project's A Bright Room Called Day by Tony Kushner. Set in Berlin in 1932, this bold script has a timely message for contemporary America. The story focuses on a group of artists and activists struggling between their conscience and comfort and trying to come to grips with what they're willing to sacrifice for their beliefs. It brings up questions of citizenship, resistance, and complicity. All tickets to this show are pay what you can, and you can see it now through November 18th.
Thanks, Ellen. Hey, before signing off, we want to give a big old round of applause to the digital filmmaking students at Ballard High School who won three National Student Production Awards at the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Awards ceremony in October. FYI, this is their third consecutive year of winning at the national level.
We've never done anything of this scale, and it's really exciting to have a budget.
Talented young filmmakers have been pouring out of Ballard High since 2001, and much of the credit for the students' success is due to the fantastic leadership of the program's founder and director, Matt Lawrence. Congratulations to Matt and his Crackerjack students. Keep up the great work. And that's a wrap. Big, huge thanks to the fine folks here at Georgetown Stables for hosting us every single week. We love being here. And by the way, this is a great place to have an event, a party, whatever you want to do. And you can get more information at georgetownstables.com. And that is it for us. Have a terrific week. We'll see you soon.
I guess I'm a